Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video I want to take a close look at the GKD Mini. I have this thing for some time now here in the Wicked Cave and I tested it out a couple of times, and at first I didn't even want to make a review about it, simply because I was having some mixed feelings, because this device came, in my opinion, out of nowhere. And now the question remains, how good is it and what can we do with it? But the reason I decided to make a review, because there are some positive things I really like about it. Yeah, and it's not the color, because the color they are selling this, it's kind of weird in my opinion, but of course colors is a personal taste. But when it comes to handhelds, it's such a jungle nowadays. Like, there is so much stuff that is being released, and when you're just stepping in the jungle of handhelds, it's like a freaking nightmare in my opinion. So what you're going to get is not a lot. We're going to get a Type-C cable for data transfer and charging the internal battery. Then we're going to get the extended toilet paper manual with explanation how everything works, like a quick guide for the people who are not familiar to handhelds. But I will show you in this video what you also can do with it. Because again, there were some things I was really pleased about it, and that's the reason I want to make a review about it. Oh, by the way, what I do like about this thing is the box itself. I do like the art style. Nowadays we're going to get very nice fancy boxes, especially when you're looking at the old stuff that I reviewed back in the day. For the people who didn't see those videos, these were like the boxes they have released back in the day. Like, look at this, how flimsy, full of typos, and there was not a lot of information. So these boxes are looking very nice. So if you're a collector, you will be pleased with the boxes. Boxes from China. Alright, so let's take a close look at the handheld itself and the reason why I like it. One of the reasons why I was not excited when this thing came out was very simple. The form factor is not my first choice of one of my favorite handhelds in general. I'm more like a fan of the landscapes. They give you some more room for your hands. And like some of these things, like the LDK I've reviewed on my Wicked Brain Fart channel this year, like this thing was not comfortable at all. And this thing has some similarities to it. What do I mean with similarities? The way how everything looks is almost the same like the LDK, and I mean like the positioning of the D-pad, the buttons over here, but they changed some things out. It makes this thing way more comfortable. With some of your handhelds, they put like the shoulder buttons on top and you need to play it like this. Ooh, absolutely a no-go. But with this handheld, they change it out, so at the back we're going to get even 4 shoulder buttons. And that is very convenient if you want to play some later games like PlayStation 1 and you need to have all 8 buttons. That is so super convenient about it. So they changed some things out. But let's talk about the D-pad and the buttons itself and how does it feel. The D-pad is a normal D-pad. The reason I'm saying this, like some of these handhelds are like just 4 separate buttons. Don't ask me why they even do that. But the D-pad itself feels kind of nice, it feels kind of sturdy, but when you're moving around with the character in the game, I noticed it plays very well. Over here we're going to get 2 buttons, most of the time they select and the start. Then we're going to get some extra buttons over here, and here we're going to get the A, B, X, Y. The buttons are a little bit too tiny. I really prefer like have bigger buttons. The travel itself is quite long, but especially like the click itself feels a little bit cheapo. So at the back we're going to get the R1, R2, L1 and L2. And these buttons are the same story, like very clickish. And when you're holding it in your hand, still the idea behind is that you can basically like click them and touch them very easily. But I must say, like, when you're holding it, I find it not very comfortable to play at all. Because in the hand, like if you want to put your finger in this position, I find always like the L2 and R2 very hard to reach, or you're accidentally pressing the L1 or R1 button. So this configuration, I'm not a big fan of it. With this handheld, do get a volume control. At the top we're going to get the on-off switch. Also the on-off switch can be used like getting out of the menu or the emulator. Then we're going to get 2 options for adding yourself some extra storage. So this one contains the firmware that we can also upgrade. This time we're going to get a 32 GB, so that gives you some space to add the software and of course the games if you want to add those, or use an extra SD card. There's a new, like say a new thing going on, like giving us 2 CF card slots, very convenient and very cool. And over here we're going to get 2 extra buttons that we can program for emulators and all other kind of stuff that you want to do with it. And at the bottom part we're going to get stereo sound. What I don't like about the audio itself, it sounds really high pitched when you're going to put them on like higher volume and there is no bass. Then we're going to get Type-C for charging and data transfer, and then we're going to get the audio jack out. But what convinced me like making the review after all this time is very simple. When I was holding it, it felt okay. It's not super comfortable, but still a very comfortable handheld, and I like the design in general, like it's very compact. but the screen itself looks amazing. They are using this beautiful IPS display and it's just very nice. Overall, you're going to get a very nice protection glass in front of it. So the design itself in combination with the screen, that's basically put me over the line and saying, oh man, I need to show it here on the channel because it's still very cool. But let's talk about the menu, because we're going back and step back, in my opinion, when it comes to the software itself. So when you take a close look at the software itself, we're going to get the same stuff we've seen before with, let's say, a couple of years ago. We're going to get emulators, games, we can change out some settings, applications, but let's talk about the emulators. The emulators, we get a lot of stuff going on. We can even run up to PlayStation 1, and there is an N64 emulator for it, but what you need to take consideration, this device is not powerful enough to run N64 at all. Oh, by the way, I will show you later on this video, PlayStation 1 doesn't run perfectly. So when it comes to the games, here we're going to get some interesting features. The reason why I'm saying interesting, because when it comes to homebrew games, I noticed like LDK and some other devices had some issues with some more demanding homebrew games. And there were some games over here that seem to be running just fine. That's quite interesting. Okay guys, so a quick nerdy, or better said, wicked nerdy talk regarding the specifications. So the 3.5 inch display has a resolution weight 320 by 240 and it has like the tempered glass. CPU is a MIPS 32, so it's not a very powerful one, runs on 1.5 GHz, 128 MB of RAM, so that's not a lot at all. 2500 mAh battery inside, that gives you around, let's say 4 to 5 hours depending how loud the music will go in combination with the brightness of the IPS display. And then of course the connection will be USB-C this time, and we can upgrade the CF card with a 512 GB with the second slot. But the first thing I wanted to check out are some homebrew games, just to show you how capable this device is. First of all, we're going to try some Quake. We're going to play some Sonic homebrew games, and of course my favorite, Street of Rage, because these are the games that you can test out how good this thing is when it comes to performance of more demanding homebrew games. The first game I wanted to show you is Quake 2. What I like about this game, it doesn't, by the way, that is a really cool game, brings back a lot of memories, but this is a very hard to emulate or play game on devices. And nowadays we have a lot of, let's say, Anbenic devices that will run this game very well, but back in the day with LDK it struggles and had a lot of slowdowns. And surprisingly, this device runs it very well. Okay, so next up, let's try the three-dimensional Sonic homebrew game. And I must say, like, I was surprised to see this game on the handheld. But also, I did try it on my other device back in the day, but it didn't run at all, or not good enough. Oh man, the speaker is so high-pitched. I'm just gonna be honest, not my first game that I want to play on this device, simply because I find it not the best games, three-dimensional games. I'm more like the Sonic old school fan that just want to see Sonic being two-dimensional. But it looks very nice. So I've tried this game on so many of these devices, and every single time I see a lot of stutters here and there, because it's still, for a two-dimensional game, a very demanding game. So let's see how it will handle Street of Rage Remake. Oh yeah. Yeah. That was a great test. Okay, so it seems to be that it did save it. I don't know what went wrong, but a great way to test out the D-pad. Still, the positioning of the D-pad is not my favorite position, because I notice like I need to cramp up my hands a lot. But it looks amazing. Like, this display is just such a really cool way to see this game on a beautiful IPS display like this. So I just want to jump straight into the PlayStation 1. So with this game, the reason I just tested it out like this, because it's a super demanding game. In my opinion, the ultimate test for PlayStation 1. And we can see how far we can push it. But when we're starting the game, it goes instantly into 100%. And it doesn't even hit the 60 FPS. So sadly, and this is the thing why I didn't like the handheld in the beginning, is that Well, we're having so many options now when it comes to playing some retro games, including PlayStation 1 and also this game on full 60 FPS. This device doesn't have the possibility to run it. And in my opinion, it's a little bit of a bummer. In other words, we just need to have some more juice so we actually can play up to PlayStation 1. But if you want to play some 16-bit games, it will run just perfectly. And what I did like about it, and also the reason why I just started making this video, is that when you're playing this old school 16-bit stuff on this handheld, oh boy, it looked amazing with this LCD display. No widescreen bullshit, just an original aspect ratio. And with the color aspect ratio, it looked such bright, colorful, and I really love for what it is. This is a display, in my opinion, don't see very often in a handheld. Or you need to get yourself an Anbenic that costs more like $100. Okay guys, so let's do a quick teardown. I'm just not going to, let's say, tear down them to the last screw. I just want to give you a quick look in the inside. The downside to this device is that you always need to open it up if you want to replace the battery in the future. So there's something you need to take consideration. With some of the handhelds we have a like valve that we can open up and can just swap the batteries very easily. So let's see if you can open it up fairly easily, or you just need to do a lot of tinkering with it. So you can see like it's still clicked together, so we need to get myself some extra tools to get the last parts loose. But they're using these very nice imbus, beautiful screws, something you don't see very often. Okay, so the only thing it needed was a very gentle push. Alright, so that's it. So I just wanted to give you a quick look in the inside, how everything worked. Okay, crap, all my buttons are just basically falling down now. But that's it, like this is how it looks in the inside. We're going to get the battery, as you can see over here. It has a connection, so I'm very pleased it did this, because some of the handhelds I've reviewed you need to do in soldering. But so you can just plug it out, order yourself a new one. And there's not a lot of room for a bigger one. There is still some space here and there. Then we're going to get the GKD mini shoulder button board. And then of course the main board that has all the other components. Okay, so the main board itself looks very nice, and this is version number 2. The ribbon cable goes over here for the display, and what I do like about it, everything can be detached if you need to replacement like speakers and such kind of thing. But there is something else I wanted to show you. Over here this device has the option for rumble. We're going to get 2 rumble motors, but there is no wires because these 2 pins will be being pressed against the main board itself over here, the contact. So it's quite an interesting design. And I must say, I give them extra kudos for that, but the rumble needs to be supported by the software, of course. And that is most of the time an issue. But I'm curious, how is the weight of the handheld itself? So the handheld itself is 161 grams, and I must say, like, it's not the most heaviest handheld in my opinion, but when you're looking at, like, say, different models, like the El Cheapo versions from China, they always have, like, the same weight. But okay, what do I think of the device itself? When I started this video, I already mentioned that I didn't want to make the video in the first place. And the reason I did in the end, it's like I love the LCD display and it has some potential. Playing some homebrew games, I enjoyed it. Yeah, Streets of Rage didn't boot up the first time, but okay, we can forgive the software for it, for this time. But when you're looking at the overall quality, it's okay. It's a plastic for testing, doesn't weigh a lot. So if you're searching for a compact device with a beautiful display in combination with some potential to play some homebrew games and two-dimensional stuff, it runs just fine. But PlayStation 1 didn't run, and that is something I give him like some extra minus kudo points for. Because come on, if you think about it, a lot of devices from the same price range are a little bit higher when it comes to the price, but it can play PlayStation 1 like every single game, and this one struggles. But again, what I like about it is the display. Let me know what you think of this. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, becoming a Wedoit family, and I will see you in the next video.